Well, it's interesting that you touched on, and I 100% agree with this, is the top of mind strategy, being in sales calls and them saying, you've been limiting my feed. Every time I go to my feed, you're the first one that pops up. Uh, that stuff works. Um, and if you didn't have a podcast, I mean, people wouldn't really know you, really know, One Click Agency wouldn't really know the guest that you bring on the show, right? Wouldn't be in sales meetings with you. I mean, yes, you can post different content, but it's just crazy how much content you can get from just a podcast. And it's crazy that a lot of B2B companies don't have a podcast show still, and don't see value in it, or they're on the fence, but are too focused on, is this going to bring us ROI, but don't really understand the top of mind strategy approach.
And for us, we could get way more content out of ours. It's not something that we're doing right now. Like, we could do so much more and distribute the content way better.
Totally.
But this is just what we're committed to right now. And it's wild how much you can actually get out of it. You could really get a ton from one episode alone.
No, totally. I mean, even for us, like, we can chop it up and totally overwhelm the video editor and everything, but spit out so much on YouTube and LinkedIn and TikTok and all. But we're just like, let's just keep it simple. One full video, one short clip, just the way you're doing it too, right? And that's been working. It's super helpful. I think if people do have the resources and everything, spit it out every day if you can. Doesn't have to be 30 minutes. It can just be like 2 minutes. The clips can be just so short that you can just start pumping those out on YouTube, TikTok, everything.
Yeah. The distribution needs to be the priority more than anything, because like, you can create the content all you want, but if no one's going to consume it, then like, what's really the point at the end of the day?
Why did you start a podcast? Other than, I know it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it was to build relationships with ideal buyers. And then two, and by build relationships, I don't mean them to bring someone on and then sell to them right after I do a podcast. That's a huge no-no in my book. It's like no strings attached, 100%. And then to deliver value for ideal buyers, because they're going to come on and listen to their peers and what's going on in the industry. So those two things, it was like two birds, one stone.
Love that. Awesome. Yeah, do you want to touch on anything else, Sam? I know we're coming up on time now.
There was something that came to mind. This was really interesting. So for our show, I reached out on LinkedIn to CMOs and VPs. And someone I had never met, but I was connected with, it was a CMO. I messaged them and I said, hey, would you like to come on our show? They said, hey, like, the timing just isn't right now. Could we follow up in like Q1? By the way, I've been seeing your content in the feed. We are 100% aligned. This is going to be a good show. And I'm like, oh, that's super cool. Like, in my mind, I'm thinking, I've never seen you comment. I've never seen you engage with a post, but obviously you've been consuming the content, which is really interesting. So like, you have to keep in mind when it comes to LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok, the likes and the vanity metrics don't necessarily mean anything. They are very helpful and they can definitely give you you can get a pulse on what's going on, but there's a lot of people in the shadows consuming the content and remembering who you are.
Right.
Even though you've never talked to them. So hopefully that's some encouragement, but I thought that was really interesting that she said that this week.
That's awesome. No, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's all about right there. And you're right. It's relationship building 101. No joke. Now, for those listening or watching this, Sam Moss, again, you can find him on LinkedIn. And then also you can find his new and improved YouTube channel, One Click Agency. And you can also visit he revamped some of his website, because him and I have been talking back and forth. So he's got a lot of cool stuff on his website. Check it out, oneclickagency.com. And Sam, again, as always, my friend, thanks for joining.
Always a great conversation, Jesus. I appreciate you having me back on, man. This is great.
You too.